Christian Chukwu, a name synonymous with excellence and determination, has left an indelible mark on the world of sports. As a renowned Nigerian footballer and coach, he exemplifies the power of passion, hard work, and perseverance. His journey, marked by triumphs and setbacks, serves as a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome adversity and achieve greatness. Chukwu's leadership and tactical prowess on the field earned him recognition and respect from his peers and fans alike. His dedication to the sport has inspired countless young athletes, demonstrating the rewards of excellence, teamwork, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. As a coach, he has mentored and guided numerous players, imparting valuable lessons that extend beyond the pitch. Tonight, we celebrate Super Eagles' foremost captain and Rangers' foremost captain, Christian Chukwu. This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that X-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Mr. Ogechukwu Ajuzie, author of Christian Chukwu, the Field Marshal. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajuzie, for joining us tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Alex, thanks for being here. I'm happy.
So, first of all, I would like you to take us down memory lane. When did you meet Christian Chukwu?
Well, let me start by saying that from the early childhood I was growing up in Enugu, I used to be one of the most admirers of Christian Chukwu those days, and also his teammates, the Rangers. It meant so much for us then to go to stadium to watch them. And then Enugu Stadium, now Nandazikwe Stadium. And well, of course, we will do whatever we have to do at home, whatever assignment we are given to rush to, especially when they were playing. At that time, it was just like a distant, like every other young Igbo person in the East after the Civil War. It was a great passion watching the Rangers, and we could do anything to make sure we were there at the stadium to watch them. But of course, growing up, eventually after their career, I never had the opportunity of meeting one-on-one until after his football career. And by virtue of my profession as a media person, as a journalist, so somehow we crossed each other's path, and it became clear to me that I need to do something about documenting his activities and achievements for posterity. And that was the point I really came into him. That was in the early 90s, that when the idea of doing the biography came up. So that was when the two of us crossed our ways, and we never parted till he died.
All right, before we get to the writing of that biography, let's step back a bit to his career as a player. You obviously watched him.
Yep.
A lot of us that are slightly younger, we are not opportunity to have seen him play.
Yeah.
But tell us what it was like watching Christian Chukwu play for either Rangers or the Green Eagles then and later Super Eagles.
Watching Christian Chukwu play was a great deal of fun because he was actually quite distinguished in the field of play from the time he became the captain of Rangers. And you recall that maybe because you are growing up then, it was somehow a big surprise to many of the older Rangers players at the time when he joined Rangers from the Academicals in 1974. And that same year he became the captain. A lot of people couldn't believe that such a young man could assume that position in the place of much older players in the Rangers team. But then the coach at that time, Dan Anyam, saw the potentials in him. Of course, he would look so calm, so gentle, but there was something about him that the coach saw and made him the captain of Rangers. And he never disappointed from that time when he was appointed the captain of Rangers. Christian Chukwu's leadership was very outstanding. At any time they were marching to the field of play, if you were at the stadium, you will be clear that he knew what he was doing, because the Rangers usually march into a kind of formation that appeared like they were into a kind of dancing into a war with Christian Chukwu leading. They were marching and singing vibrantly, and then sometimes you could hear that echo of that song. And anytime they get into the field of play, of course, he was playing in the defensive position. Then central defender that's what they call the libero or whatever. So he was one clearing the defense. So he was clearly, but of course, from that defense position, he would also marshal the attack and then fall back to defend. So he was very, very outstanding both in the Rangers and both in the Green Eagles. There was no mistake about it. And of course, his style of play was very extraordinary and outstanding. And he was so charismatic in the field play. So everybody loved him, everybody knew, and that made him to be so popular amongst football followers.
All right, thank you. I mean, this is a lot of people who were opportune to watch Christian Chukwu always will talk about this, how as calm as he is the moment he collects the ball, he tends to explode with it. Despite being a defender, he's very good with the ball on his feet, especially when he runs with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are there lessons that people can learn from how Chukwu played, even before we come to his coaching career? You know, how he played football as against how people played now. He played for only Rangers, apart from the academicals. Yeah. Rangers was the only club side he played for. Yeah. And of course, he went on also to captain the Green Eagles or the Super Eagles much later. Yeah. Talk to us about the lessons from his style of play. And do you think we've seen players who may have shown glimpses of Chukwu's qualities?
Unfortunately, I don't think we've seen. Because Christian was very, very outstanding. I will tell you that he started as an attacking player before he got converted to a defensive position and as player. But that is very outstanding about Christian Chukwu was the level of commitment to the game, the amount of sacrifice he was made, and the level of hard work, and which I have not really seen in the present generation of players. Christian Chukwu would do everything to make sure that he motivates his teammates. At any time they were going for match or at any point in time, they would always say, Shegodeba may record an incident that happened when they were playing for the Nations Cup finals. At that night of the match, himself and Christian Chukwu sat together. And all the night they were analyzing how they were going to play against Algerians. And the other players are going to to bed, but both of them were just, because at the end of the day, they told themselves they must win the match. They must win the Nations Cup for the first time for the country. And as they were going to sleep, they saw the coach, General Gloria, coming out, and they saw them. I was surprised. They couldn't go to bed. It's just because they were working very hard to make sure that no chance was left, for them. Because each time they were going to play, even our Rangers, other players, would tell you that Christian will ask from them, "Are you ready to play this match?" He doesn't believe in half measure. He will tell you point blank, if you're not ready, just let us know so that we can replace you. Because in that pitch, it's going to be war. He wants 100% commitment and performance. There's no half measure. And that was the kind of person he is. So he was such an inspirational player amongst his teammates. But of course, he was not arrogant. He was a team player who liked to carry along his teammates, trying to make sure that everybody was on the same page and work together for the overall success of the team. And that was why they were able to achieve the much results both in the Rangers and the Green Eagles during his time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talked about Christian Chukwu's humility. And I guess it reflected in his career, because I wasn't there, but I suspect he didn't get a lot of red cards. Yeah. Because of how tidy he was as a defender. Talk to us about his courage and humility and how it shaped the career he pulled through, maybe the time he played for Rangers and then the Green Eagles.
Well, of course, like I said, Christian was a very calm person, very calm and calculated and focused. Even on the pitch of play, you could see, that's like you said, he never picked a red card. Because even when he was marking, you would think that it's not hard. Because his sense of anticipation was precise. He knew when to go for the ball and just take the ball out from the opponent and then do whatever he wants to do with it. So he was a very, very calm person and humble. And sometimes people also, of course, somehow he was a very shy person, but it's not that too noticeable about him. But of course, he's a very calm and humble person. Everything he did, both as a player on and off the pitch with his colleagues.
All right, we'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation on Christian Chukwu as we continue to celebrate one of Nigeria's football icons. Stay with us. Here on Afia TV, a program X-rays, the political, social, and economic developments around us. Still have in the studio Ogechukwu Ajuzie, author of Christian Chukwu, the Field Marshal. But we'll have excerpts of an interview with Christian Chukwu. Let's take a listen to him talking about himself and how all these started. Let's watch this video clip and we'll be right back.
Yeah. Rangers captain, national team player, national team captain, national team coach, under 17 coach, and so on and so forth. If I start counting now, we will finish this interview. Thank you. Mr. Christian Chukwu came out from Mr. and Mrs. Vincent Chukwu. My father was a butcher. He trained us very well. We are 7 of us, 2 boys and 5 girls. He trained us very well. And in fact, my parents refused me play football. But it was by the help of the late coach then, Dan I am, that came to them and pleaded with my father and mother to allow me to play football. That's how they allowed me to play football. Otherwise, those days, your parents cannot allow you to play football. All these comedians and so on, they don't see them. What they want you to be is a doctor, lawyer, and so on. So that is how I started my football career. I was invited to the national team, the Green Eagles, in 1974. That is when I was invited. And when I came to the national team, Dominic Ezani was the captain. And not quite long when I came in, when we started, Dominic Ezani traveled to the United States of America. And I have to be picked as the captain of the Green Eagles then. So I started captaining the team, and in 1976, we won bronze in Ethiopia. In 1978, we won another bronze in Ghana. And in 1980, we won the Nations Cup for the Nigeria. And that was when the Green Eagle were changed to the Super Eagles. You can remember those things that Shehu Shagari did to us. He showered us with houses, cars, and so on. So that's how we started. Those days, we were young, and in terms of character, we behave like brothers and sisters. Each person has his own skills, like Adokie, like Budalawa, like Shegu. And that's why the late N.S. Okonkwo gave all of us names. He called Shegu mathematical Odebabi because he can dribble you to hell. And so on. He called Adokie justice. He called everybody his name. He called Aloy blockbuster, and so on, because of the way their performances and where they specialize, And that is where he gave me the chairman, because I stay in the back, I control the team, and so on and so forth. I did not react anyway. It's the way he saw me that he gave me the name. He gave me the name the way he saw me. The way he saw me playing, the way he saw me talking to my colleagues in the field, controlling the place and everything, then he looked at that, my behavior and everything. He said that this guy must be a genius. Then he gave me the chairman, the Field Marshal. That is all, So I don't have to say no or yes. He took my name, and that's how it is. A team is not built in a day. As we said now, you can see that we started building ourselves, the team, from 1974. By the time it gets to 1980, we've known ourselves. We can even pass ball closing eye to each other and everything. It's not what they do nowadays. You get match on Sunday, you invite players on Thursday, they train on Friday, prepare Saturday, Sunday they play match, Monday they disperse again. It was not like that during our own time. We were camped for a long time. We understood ourselves very, very well. We know ourselves. So even without coach by then, we can play any team in any country at that time. So that is how to build a team. And that is how we build our team. And when it got to 1980, after winning bronze in 74, then 76, 78, we know that it is time to win the golds, especially when we are hosting the competition. If you will remember, Akioye was the national director of sports then, and he employed about, can I remember now how many Yugoslavian coaches he employed, and he deployed them in the zones. So Tico was deployed in the East Central State Zone. And that is how we came to know Tico, he came to know us. So he started building the team from East Central State, Rangers, Vasco, and all those teams in East Central State. And we have to go to festival where we won the festival. That is how Father Tico came into the team. So Father Tico was not employed by East Central State, was not employed by the Rangers, but by the National Sports. Because Opa Biasika, who was the administrator by then. Then we have A.W. as our chairman. And we have Jerry Nyazo as director of sports there. You know. So already we have players like Achebe, Godwin Achebe, who captain Nigeria, N.S. Rufele, Lukop, Mosu, Awila Mosu, and so on and so forth, them. They were all playing in Lagos during the war, before the war. So after the war, all of them came back to the east. And that is when Iyazu formed Rangers, you know, and they started Rangers. And Rangers were being fed from school sports. We were all selected from school sports, from academicals. And that is how we were replacing those age to ones. And we stayed for a long time. You can't come into Rangers and start playing immediately. You have to spend 1 or 2 years to understand the system and everything about the team. And that is how Rangers started growing. And
I mean, that's Chairman Christian Chukwu telling his story there. Very interesting story. First of all, Mr. Ajuzie, his parents did not want him to play football. It took the intervention of the coach then of Rangers to come and plead on his behalf.
Yes.
So, I mean, just imagine that that coach did not come to plead with Christian Chukwu's parents. Maybe we wouldn't be here discussing this, isn't it?
That is true. Yeah, what he said is correct. In those days, you know, parents don't like their children going to things like football, and so it's for no do wells. So the same thing with his parents. From childhood, the parents were very strict disciplinarians. The mother and the father never allowed him to go out playing football. But he will always find a way to play, because like if I tried to capture that book, but I had to talk with the parents, and then when they were still alive, of course, Christian will always find a way to sneak out from the house to go and play with other kids. But of course, sometimes the mother will want to encumber him, but ask him to go and sell things like plantain or this. He will carry it, but of course, he will sell. He will go and keep the thing by the roadside and join others. At the end of the day, he will return it the way it was. So that was the issue. But of course, at a point, they just knew that was this potential. So when he was in the primary school at Christ Church, was his potential began to develop, and people began to appreciate his talent in football. From there to Nike Grammar School, where he played. And in all the schools, he was in the school team, even as a youngster. So he was very, very outstanding from the child. So the talent was there. Although the parents tried to stop him, but of course, by God's intervention and the coach, it was easy. He was able to find a way into the game.
He touched on something very, very key, and that's scouting. He talked about Tico.
Yeah.
There's a man called Tico who moved around East Central State picking talents. I mean, he took his time to explain how Tico came to East Central State, because a lot of people were thinking maybe it was Rangers or East Central State government. It was actually the federal government that is part of a consortium of coach scouts, or whatever they are called, talent scouts, moving around Nigeria at that time. So how important is this? And do we still have scouts moving around and looking at talents and knowing that maybe this person should get into the national team instead of having personal interest override the essence of merit?
Well, that's one fundamental thing that is lacking in our present football administration and sports administration generally. In those days, the federal government had a policy of deploying coaches to the grassroots to discover talents, both in football and other sporting activities. And so these coaches will go into the communities, they will visit schools, and then, of course, they will also observe school. Those days, like these academicals, the school football competitions, they will always be there to monitor players. And that was how many of these players were discovered at that time, through such intervention, through such scouting. Unfortunately, that has been killed. We no longer have such now. So what you now have is a situation where forming the national team, the coach will now depend on foreign-based players just by merely seeing them play 1 or 2 matches and then invite them to come and play for the national team. So that ability to build a team culture is not there. Just like he told you, the team that won the Nations Cup in 1980 was a team that started in 1974. So they were consistently playing together. They were playing in the camp. They were camped constantly. It was only maybe at any time the clubs, they have a club engagement, they will go to their clubs and come back. And that's why when he was alive, he was advocating that this idea of building the national team around the foreign-based players does not go well for the country. That we should be able to have a kind of a football culture where we develop the home-based team and then use them to follow the bulk of the national team so that they will have that football culture. That is the thing. So if you don't have that kind of culture, it's difficult for you to actually do a lot in the field of play. And that is actually affecting our football. Because what we have now is, like he pointed out, when we are getting into any serious competition like the World Cup or Nations Cup, we wait before a few days to the match, you bring the players, put them together, and then they go and play. They are maybe individual stars.
With all the jet lag.
But that cohesion, that team cohesion is not there. That team culture is not there. So it's only maybe if we are lucky, we win, but that does not express the kind of football culture we need to build. And that's exactly what he's saying.
So we've talked about Christian Chukwu as a player. Talk to us about Christian Chukwu as a coach. He's been through all the ranks, Golden Eaglets, Flying Eagles, Dream Team, and Super Eagles.
Yeah.
What do you know about Christian Chukwu as a coach?
Well, Christian Chukwu had, before he left football, he made up his mind he wanted to be a coach so that he could impart the knowledge, the training he had into the younger ones. So there was no mistake about it, and that was why immediately he left the Green Eagles after the Nations Cup in 1980. And then, of course, he played for Rangers for 1 or 2 seasons. But even playing for Rangers at that time, 1981, 1982, he was already engaged as a coach player. He was with Rangers already as a coach. And then, of course, in 1983, he became a substantive coach of Rangers. And that year, they also won the Challenge Cup, after he took over. So from then, of course, his coaching trajectory began to increase. He was a coach of the Assessor Warrior, the Enugu based Assessor Warrior, then which he took from Division 3 to Division 1. And then, of course, Rangers, he was coach of Rangers over time.
I know. I remember Assessor Warriors.
Yes, that's
we were very good at that time. I know 1 or 2 persons who played for Assessor Warriors, but that's not the football.
Okay. So he, as a coach, of course, he went for training in Germany, trained as a coach and got all the necessary certification, and then came back. Of course, he was under 16 assistant coach, the then under 16, now under 17 junior national team called the Golden Eaglet. In 1985, they went to China, where Nigeria made history to become the first country to win the global Championship, the World Cup. He was part of that team. Because he also was part of the Green Eagles history-making team. That's the 1994 Green Eagles. He worked with Westoff, who was the technical advisor. He was the chief coach. And they went to the Nations Cup, won the cup in 1994, making him the first Nigerian to win the cup, both as a player and a coach. Then, of course, went to USA 94 World Cup, as a came back. And, of course, he also, again, got reappointed as coach of the Super Eagles. He took the team again to Nations Cup and won a bronze medal. So, as a coach, of course, he didn't just limit himself there. He coached a Lebanese club side called the Safa Football Club. He had to cut off his stay in Lebanon because of the invitation for him to come and play in Nigeria, come and coach the Super Eagles. So he was also the coach of the Kenyan national team, the Harambee Stars. He won that. He was appointed not just because he attended a competitive interview with other coaches, and the Kenyan authorities saw he was good. For the 2 years he stayed there, he was able to develop the Kenyan football from the grassroots. And also, the team won the Sekafa Cup, that the South African, this East African football competition, within the period he was a coach. So as a coach, he has definitely done very well. His performance was exceptional, and I still regard him as one of the coaches ever that coached in Nigeria and in the African continent in terms of achievement and performance.
All right, and we lost Christian Chukwu a few months ago, but the burial activities are already on, especially within Enugu State now. He is from Obe in Nkanu, West local government area. So, do you have details of maybe some of the things that will be taking place within the week, as it were? And of course, I understand there was a service of songs early in the week.
Yeah. The burial activity started on last Sunday at St. Andrew Basilica, where we had a service of songs. And then tomorrow, being Wednesday, there will be a night of tribute at the International Conference Center in Enugu by 5 p.m. The next day, being Thursday, there will be a colloquium at Enugu Sports Club at 10 a.m. in the morning. And on Friday, there will be a novelty match at Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in his honor by ex-Rangers and other All-Stars. Then after that, on Saturday, of course, there will be the funeral service. The corpse will move from the Eastern Medical Center, have a brief stop in his house in Transekula, and then Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, before moving to Obe for the funeral service by 11 a.m. So that is then on Sunday, of course, there will be an outing service at St. Philip's, Obe. So that is, in nutshell, the program outline. And then we are also using the medium to invite people, well-meaning sports lovers, lovers of Christian Chukwu, lovers of indelible, those who appreciate the worthless service and contribution to the development of football in Igbo land in the country, to come and pay him this last respect he deserves, well-deserved last respect, by coming to be part of these events as they march towards give him the last final burial on Saturday.
Yeah. And tomorrow, like you pointed out, will be the night of tribute at the ICC, and a lot of people will turn out to actually pay their last respects to Chukwu. And this is also for Enugu State a sober, reflective moment. How do you describe Christian Chukwu as someone who is from Southeast Nigeria? I mean, looking at how the whole Rangers story started.
Yeah.
Because he was captain of Rangers when the Eastern Nigeria just came out of a civil war. Yeah. How important was that leadership he offered?
It was important at that time because, after the civil war, we are like a vanquished people. We are like a vanquished, there was no hope anywhere. We couldn't find our bearing back to Nigeria. But it was the leadership of Christian and the Rangers team at that time that provided the enabling platform for the emergence of Igbos and reintegration of Igbos into the Nigerian nation. It was that their conquering spirit when they started winning, like his teammate in Green Eagles, I still quote what Debami said, he couldn't just pin down on what was motivating the Rangers at that time, but he couldn't just stop them because of the spirit that they were exhibiting in the field of play that made them to win and win and win over and again. So that kind of spirit, that dynamism and the commitment to Igbo cause that made Christian Chukwu to lead Rangers, and they gave us that sense of belonging that made us to get integrated into Nigeria is what that made him so outstanding, and that will make every well-meaning Igbo son and daughter to really appreciate him, the worthless sacrifice he made, the contributions he made. But at the time they were playing, the reward system was not there. There was nothing encouragement except that the passion they have to serve the people, and they serve their fatherland, they serve the Igbo nation. So it is time for us to actually appreciate all that they have done, especially himself, by leading the Rangers at that time to lead us to victory, and they reintegrate us back to Nigeria. It's something that is very remarkable, and we need to appreciate it.
So how do we get another Christian Chukwu? Or is this the end of an era?
Well, yeah, somehow, but I believe by divine intervention, nothing is impossible. But of course, one of the things Christian told me at a point when we are getting into the book was that he wants that his book to be read, because that book encapsulates everything about him, about his life and contributions to the development of football. And he believes that it was something that will inspire and motivate the younger ones to really appreciate the need for hard work and dedication to service and to serve the country and the people selflessly, which he embodied, So I believe that with the right motivation, with the right encouragement, we could still have, there are a lot of budding talents, and but definitely there has to be the kind of motivation that will really make them to become like what Christian Chukwu was.
Will the book be on display tomorrow?
No, I doubt, but it will be on display at the colloquium.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to have the book out there for people to see and actually know how to get copies of it for people who are interested in getting copies. So let's talk about immortalizing Christian Chukwu. What do you think will be a fitting remembrance for Christian Chukwu?
Well, a whole lot of ideas have been thrown up by people who believe that Christian shouldn't just be buried. There has to be something that will immortalize him, that will make him to be remembered for posterity. And ideas of all sorts, people have been asking to name some important national monuments and institutions in his name. It's not just about Enugu State, but it's also about Southeast, it's also about Nigeria. Because Christian Chukwu was not just the Rangers player, he was also the Green Eagles player. And then people have been saying that the federal government should immortalize him, Enugu State government should immortalize him, Igbo nation should immortalize him. And whatever mode of immortalization, the most important is something that will really outlive people, that will continue to remember him, over the years, and that will not easily be forgotten. And that is one of the things. So I cannot just point out at anything in particular. People have said, why not just name a street, why don't you name an institution, a building, or whatever. But also, people have been saying we can also come up with an idea of setting up a foundation or his name and all that. So these are ideas and proposals, but I believe that the government is listening, whether at the state and federal level, should be able to really come up with a very, very concrete, because it is well deserving. And the other climbs, footballers of his class have been well immortalized and by their countries. So I don't see why it should be different here.
Well, I think that for starters, there should be a commemorative statue of Christian Chukwu at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. There shouldn't be anything more fitting than that. I think that elephant should make way for a Christian Chukwu statue.
That is true.
At the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. It needs to be said, the elephant was a commemorative construction for Nigeria 99, and that's done and dusted. The elephant should give way for a Christian Chukwu statue at the stadium. Is that a bad idea?
No, it is, because, if you consider the fact that even naming the stadium, like you now have a Stephen Keshi Stadium in the Delta State, you have Samson Siasa in Bayelsa, you have Adokia Mesi Amaka Stadium in Rivers, you have Budalawa Stadium in Adana. So it is not asking it's not a big, accent. As a matter of fact, government should do that and even go beyond in doing something more than that. That is the truth, yes.
I think we'll be on that. Just to tell our viewers that Afia TV will be transmitting the burial of Christian Chukwu live. Channel 254 on DSTV, Channel 17 on GoTV. So you can watch live proceedings of the burial from Obe in Kano West in Enugu State. And of course, we will bring you the package of the Night of Tributes tomorrow from the ICC. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much, Ogechukwu Ajuzie, for coming on the Eastern Eye tonight.
Alex, I'm very pleased, and I must say that I'm also very proud of Afia TV. People have done wonderfully well in this promoting this burial. You must, I give you my kudos. Well done. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the Eastern Eye for tonight. May the soul of Christian Chukwu rest in peace. My name is Alex Oboden. Good night.